Chris Rock gets irate over Will Smith's fake apology video. We all read Will Smith's apology post on Instagram to Chris Rock for slapping him at the 2022 Oscars. Will manned up and had the courage to address the issue right away. However, Chris and many of his fans did not see his sincerity and even criticized him for being a fake. A lot of people were saying that Will was playing the victim, and by writing an apology post, he wanted to justify his action and win the public's sympathy. But what the people could see was how humiliating it was for Chris to be at the center of one of the most infamous and unforgettable moments in Oscars history. Will Chris finally speak up about the issue now that Will has released an apology video? Will this soften Chris's heart and eventually patch things up with Will? Let's have a rundown first on what really happened at the Oscars that made the world stand still for 5 seconds. During the prestigious 94th Academy Award ceremony on March 27, 2022, when Chris was about to present an award, he was throwing jokes at the audience. As a comedian, perhaps it was in his nature to bring his comedy wherever he was, but when he made a joke about Will's wife's bald head, comparing it to G.I. Jane, Will was not amused. He marched onto stage and gave Chris a hard slap, which shocked everyone. He repeatedly yelled at Chris to keep Jada's name out of his mouth. Unknown to many and apparently to Chris, Jada has been struggling with alopecia areata, which causes the immune system to attack hair follicles and lead to hair loss. There's no known issue for the disease, and people with the condition may experience hair loss in large or small patches on their heads, faces, and other parts of the body. After years of treating her condition with steroids, she finally accepted it. In a video she posted on Instagram, she showed her fans an up-close look at the bare spots on her head. She captioned the video, "Now at this point, I can only laugh. Y'all know I've been struggling with alopecia, and just all of a sudden one day, look at this line right here. Look at that." So it just showed up like that, and this is going to be a little bit more difficult for me to hide. She continued, "So I thought I'd just share it so y'all are not asking any questions. But you know, Mom is going to put some rhinestones in there. I'm going to make myself a little crown. That's what Mom is going to do. Mom is going to have to take it down to the scalp so nobody thinks she's got brain surgery or something." She captioned the video, "I and this alopecia are going to be friends, period." Many felt bad for Jada, but they were also blaming her for what had happened. She and Will were seen laughing at Chris's jokes, and when her condition was brought up, Will continued to laugh. Will was also laughing at the G.I. Jane joke, but when he turned around and saw his wife getting uncomfortable and having a poker face, he rushed to the stage and slapped Chris. The brief encounter was now known as the slap. Chris was also surprised and stunned because he had just been humiliated and smacked on national television. Shortly after the slap, Will won his first ever Academy Award. He was hailed as the best actor for his role as Richard Williams in the biopic King Richard. The audience gave him a standing ovation, and he became very emotional during his acceptance speech. He was teary-eyed as he spoke about the movie and also took this opportunity to apologize to the Academy. He said, "Art imitates life. I look like the crazy father, just like they said about Richard Williams, but love will make you do crazy things. I want to be an ambassador of that kind of love and care and concern. I want to apologize to the Academy. I want to apologize to all my fellow nominees. This is a beautiful moment, and I'm not crying for winning an award. It's not about winning an award for me." Fans were waiting for him to apologize to Chris as well, but he never mentioned him in his speech. They were calling out Will, and some celebrities also expressed their disappointment over Will not apologizing to the comedian on national television after he humiliated Chris. Wanda Sykes, one of the hosts of the Oscars that night, shared what she truly felt in an episode of The Ellen DeGeneres Show and said, "I just was like, is this really happening? I just felt so awful for my friend Chris. It was sickening. It was absolutely, I physically felt ill, and I'm still a little traumatized by it." She also added that Will might have apologized to everyone, but he never said anything to the host, including her, who had really worked hard. Chris, on the other hand, approached him and said he was sorry for what had happened. "As soon as I walked up to him, the first thing he said was, 'I'm so sorry.' He was like, 'It was supposed to be your night. You and Amy and Regina were doing such a great job. I'm so sorry that this is now going to be about this,' because that's who Chris is." But on the very next day after the Oscars, Will apologized again for his behavior on Instagram. He wrote, "Violence in all of its forms is poisonous and destructive. My behavior at last night's Academy Awards was unacceptable and inexcusable. Jokes at my expense are a part of the job, but a joke about Jada's medical condition was too much for me to bear, and I reacted emotionally. I would like to publicly apologize to you, Chris. I was out of line and I was wrong. I'm embarrassed and my actions were not indicative of the man I want to be. There is no place for violence in the world of love and kindness." I would also like to apologize to the Academy, the producers of the show, all the attendees, and everyone watching around the world. I would like to apologize to the Williams family and my King Richard family. I deeply regret that my behavior has stained what has been an otherwise gorgeous journey for all of us. I'm a work in progress." Clearly, Will was upset and deeply sorry for what he did that night. It was supposed to be a night of celebration because he finally won his first Oscars, but that was now forever tainted because of his rude behavior. Of course, no one was saying that Chris's joke was acceptable, but many people wished that Will could have handled it in an appropriate and less violent way. Some even suggested that he could just walk out to the stage and whisper to Chris to stop making that kind of joke, but the slap overshadowed Will's win. Fans were quick to say that Will and Jada were selfish and loved themselves and their image more than anyone else's. Jada did not want anyone to mock her appearance, and when Will saw an opportunity to play his wife's hero, he immediately grabbed it, even if the whole world was watching him. Some fans were even saying that being compared to G.I. Jane was more of a compliment than an insult. This just meant that Jada has the bone structure to pull off a bald head. The Academy asked Will to leave the ceremony, but he declined, and the Academy allowed him to stay and be in the rest of the show. Fans could not believe this because Will's behavior was plainly rude and disrespectful, but the Academy seemed to tolerate it. Fans were now criticizing the Academy, and because of so much hatred, the institution announced that Will Smith would be banned from attending future Academy Award ceremonies for the next 10 years. The 94th Oscars were meant to be a celebration of the many individuals in our community who did incredible work this past year. However, those moments were overshadowed by the unacceptable and harmful behavior we saw Mr. Smith exhibit on stage. During our telecast, we did not adequately address the situation in the room. For this, we are sorry. This was an opportunity for us to set an example for our guests, viewers, and our Academy family around the world, and we fell short, unprepared for the unprecedented. Today, the Board of Governors convened a meeting to discuss how best to respond to Will Smith's actions at the Oscars, in addition to accepting his resignation. The board has decided for a period of 10 years from April 8, 2022, Mr. Smith shall not be permitted to attend any Academy events or programs in person or virtually, including but not limited to the Academy Awards. We want to express our deep gratitude to Mr. Rock for maintaining his composure under extraordinary circumstances. We also want to thank our hosts, nominees, presenters, and winners for their poise and grace during our telecast. This action we are taking today in response to Will Smith's behavior is a step toward the larger goal of protecting the safety of our performers and guests and restoring trust in the Academy. We also hope this can begin a time of healing and restoration for all involved and impacted. We all thought that after the Academy issued its decision, everything would die down, but it just got even wilder. A video clip surfaced where Jada was seen laughing when Will slapped Chris. Fans were so furious at Will and Jada. No one expected Jada to react that way. She appeared happy to see her husband slapping someone because of her. It looked like it was okay for them to hurt other people, and when someone hurt their egos, they would play the victim. This was what they were trying to show everyone. A lot of people lost respect for the couple, and in order to save their faces, Jada used her platform to gain back people's trust. In her show Red Table Talk, Jada wanted to raise awareness about alopecia and how it could greatly affect the lives of those who suffered from it. She invited a mother who had a daughter who was struggling with hair loss. Her daughter was mocked and bullied by her classmates and schoolmates, and she ended up taking her own life. Jada was also hoping that Will and Chris would reconcile one day, put that unfortunate event behind them, and move on. But fans were saying that Jada's and the girls' experiences were not the same. Jada is a grown woman who has met many kinds of people in her life. With her many years of experience, she should know by now how to handle stressful situations. She should have been more gracious and mature. Everybody was waiting for Chris to say something about the incident, but the comedian was tight-lipped about the whole thing. In his stand-up show in Boston following the Oscars, Chris received his own standing ovation from his fans. He was emotional, and obviously it made him feel good that there were still people showing support and love for him. He told the audience that he would not be talking about the incident because he had already prepared the material for his show. He admitted that he was still processing everything and said, "At some point I'll talk about that and it'll be serious and it'll be funny, but right now I'm going to tell some jokes." 4 months after the Oscars, Will once again talked about it and how the incident affected him deeply. He answered questions from fans and was honest and open about what he truly felt. He also mentioned that he had already reached out to Chris to apologize, and he also explained the reason for not approaching him right away. He said, "I was fogged out by that point. It's all fuzzy. I reached out to Chris and the message that came back is that he's not ready to talk. And when he is, he will reach out. So I will say to you, Chris, I apologize to you. My behavior was unacceptable and I'm here whenever you're ready to talk." I wanted to apologize to Chris's mother. I saw an interview that Chris's mother did, and that was one of the things about that moment. I just didn't realize. I wasn't thinking about how many people got hurt at that moment. So I wanted to apologize to Chris's mother. I want to apologize to Chris's family, specifically Tony Rock. We had a great relationship. Tony Rock was my man, and this is probably irreparable. Will also clarified that Jada had nothing to do with his decision, and he was hoping that he and Chris would reconcile. But fans were saying that it was just another gimmick by Will because in his video, most of the time he was just talking about himself and how the incident affected him, but he only took a minute to apologize. It had been months and that was the only thing he could come up with as an apology. Fans were saying that Will and Jada were trying to play victims. Chris, who was on tour, also made fun of Will's video, calling it a hostage video. He compared Will to the notorious, currently imprisoned Death Row Records executive Suge Knight. When his co-comedian Dave Chappelle asked him if the slap hurt, Chris answered, "Goddamn right, hit me over a bullshit joke, the nicest joke I ever told." Whether Chris would accept Will's apology or not is up to him. No one should force him to talk about it just to please everyone. It was probably one of the most humiliating experiences he had, and it would take time for him to move on from it. But of course, we all hope that they will be okay in perfect timing. Let me know your thoughts about the slap. Did Will overreact? Did Chris deserve to be slapped for being insensitive? Stay tuned for more videos. Are you not entertained? If you are, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel.